Go. Yay. Are we live? I don't have an image yet. I can't see myself. Okay. Yay. So this is Noise, the podcast of AcrossAndes. Today we have a different episode. We're doing this in English because we have an English speaker um, participant. This podcast intends to show a different side of this event, of this kind of race, of this challenge called AcrossAndes in Patagonia, Chile, and especially to get to know two other racers that are coming, male, female. The people are doing it in single or in pairs. And well, getting to know them and getting to know how they have been preparing for this. What are they more excited about, scared, or anxious? I don't know. So today we have Ashley. Ashley, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We're here at Patagonia Bikers.
I've been down way south, Punta Arenas and Puerto Natales.
So you're kind of familiar with this weather, in a way.
I expected it.
Okay. So Ashley is all known of AcrossAndes. Like kind of special but weird. But
It was kind of special, kind of weird. And the time I was trying to raise money for to get little girls specifically on bikes. And so it really just felt right. I remember one of the guys saying, "Oh, Ashley, all you have to do is just finish and you win." And I was like,
"Oh,
that's not good enough. Like,
that comment.
You're my competition."
Yeah.
Like, no,
you're in the general race.
Yeah, I want to compete against everybody. And so one ended up being really well. I did really well in it. I think I was fourth in the solo overall.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually you were racing against men too.
Yeah.
So before we get to get more deeper into that experience, can you tell us about how did you get into bikes? I know you've been riding bikes like mostly all of your life, but no,
not at all.
Okay,
I was always super active as a child. I had too much energy.
That's something like a parent would say.
Yeah.
My daughter has way too much energy.
I think I was like walking at 9 months. Like I just,
whoa.
Yeah. Like I'm just energetic. I didn't get into biking until I was, and I'm going to tell you my age. I was in my mid 30s. So, I started mountain biking at 34 or so. And it didn't take me long, about 2 years, and then I threw myself into racing, specifically racing other women who were professional. And so I was mostly doing cross country XC racing. I ended up getting a sponsorship from a development program called the Amy Foundation. And
but right away, and in your mid 30s, that's not very common.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I had won a 12-hour race. I think I had only been riding about 2 years, and I won 12 hours of Mesa Verde, which is a big race in Colorado, actually in the United States, period. And somebody known, they put me in contact with Amy D. Found that the next year I applied for, I did a couple of races, and then I applied for a pro license with USA Cycling route. And then in 2018, I did the Colorado Trail Race.
There we go.
A whim. Totally on a whim. I was like, I think I want to do this bike packing race. And everybody thought I was crazy because I had only been mountain biking for like 3 years.
But tell us about like the specs of that. It's like how many kilometers? And
so it's a little less than 1,000. I think it's like, it's about 530 miles. So I guess that would be in kilometers. Man, I couldn't do
like
the math.
A bit less.
Yeah, it's less than 1,000. Okay. Tons of climbing, like 90,000 feet of climbing. So the climbing is ridiculous. A lot of times you're taking your bike for a walk.
Hike a bike.
Yep. And for multiple days, you're going to be over 11,000 feet. So it's way up there in the high country of Colorado. And it changed my life. It was just so beautiful. I remember having a lot of ups and downs and running out of food and crying, of course. And
of course.
Yeah.
I like that.
And, ladies. And I don't know. After I did that, I realized that this is what I wanted to focus on. I didn't want to be the typical, World Cup cross country racer, which I don't know if I could have done that. Maybe I could have, but I I fell in love with ultra on that race. And it's a hard one. Everyone's like, that was your first? Of course it was, because I typically like go all in to everything that I do. That's who I am. And I don't know. I absolutely loved it. And so my second ultra was actually AcrossAndes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got fourth in that one.
I did very well in that one.
And that was a super tough race. Super tough. Also the route was really challenging, actually.
The route ended up being pretty challenging. And the biggest challenge I think of that year was also the weather. It was super hot.
Yeah, it was up north.
Yes. Yeah. I went through Vicuña.
Yeah.
And that was an aid station, was in Vicuña, and it was hot.
And how do you heard of AcrossAndes at that time?
Bikepacking.com.
Oh, that's great to know.
It was my last year with the Amy D Foundation. I rode for them for 2 years, and I wanted to do something to give back to the community. And so that's why I found Little Bella's. I had been a coach for Little Bella's. And I thought, this would be a really good way to give back. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this big race and try to raise money. And I ended up raising enough money to start a chapter, a Little Bella's chapter, which was great. It was, and I fell in love with ultra more.
That's awesome.
After AcrossAndes. And then I fell in love with Chile.
I can't imagine being the only woman in an ultra distance bikepacking race. No, I mean, you're like a totally trailblazer also. Really, it's amazing.
I think I've seen, it's interesting that we have seen, and I love it. I'm so happy about this. I always want to be an advocate for women. I want other women to get out there and to know that they can, and I really feel like we've seen in the world of bikepacking since 2019, or even really 2018, when I did the Colorado Trail Race, not just in the United States, North America, but we've seen it more women coming, more women riding, more women trying. And I think that, I'm the type that I welcome the competition. I think it's just going to make us all better, make us all stronger.
Digital person, but I think it gets good things out of people, especially women sometimes.
Yeah. And I also don't think you have to be a very competitive person to do these things.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. I think that we were just talking about this. Yeah. I really admire the people who are not, your sponsored racers, who are not, up at the pace. They're experiencing the experience, and they're being themselves. And I love that. I think it's what makes ultra so beautiful.
You said a few minutes ago, you said you've been self-training for a few years now.
I have.
How did you evolve
riding? I was contacted by somebody who helped me out. Michael Engelman was his name, actually. And he got me a coach, Tyler Hamilton and Jim Capra. And I just realized I couldn't afford, I could, but I wanted my money to go somewhere else. And so I needed to give something up, and I decided to give up the coach. But I still wanted to race. I still wanted to train. And I just started doing the research and taking courses already. Yeah, I do. I would love to be a coach. I still need I still need to gather a little bit more skills. I still need to take a few more courses before I would trust myself, in somebody else, for somebody else's results. But I really love the data.
Yeah.
Like, I love looking at the power and analyzing it and writing a workout. It's just really fun to me.
So the only thing I'm going to ask you is, if you want to coach someone else and you feel you can do it, just do it. Like, all the women I've met, and they want to do something, they want to, or they want to like teach what they know to someone else. They keep telling me like, oh, I don't know enough of this. I'm not super specialist. I don't have 4 PhD to, like, come on. You have men doing like, I don't know, solving like biochemical things with
to take on.
I bet you've been ready for months now. But all the women I know, they're like, no, I have to take more courses and be like a very super specialist on this, and they wouldn't just jump into it. Like,
I think sometimes part of being a woman is we have this perfectionist side to us. We want to do it right, and that would be just it. But I'm almost there. I really am.
I'll keep pushing you then. So let's keep moving. So you came to 2019 to your first or like no, your second ultra actually, and you were the only woman. And then what happened between your first and your second across?
After that, COVID happened, and that
right.
killed a couple of races. But I still got to Arkansas High Country Race, which was 1,000 miles. Oh man, that race was super hard. It's Arkansas is, I don't know if anyone has familiar with Arkansas, is a very, very up and down, up and down, up and down. And it was a hard course. It was a rough course. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but it ended up being even harder than I thought. 1,000 miles. So it was a little bit. I learned a lot about myself at that race too. That I was more capable. I could sleep less. You know, I learned with nutrition. So in the first AcrossAndes, I had really bad indigestion, and so that because I'm not used to eating that many calories at once. Like you just have to eat so much on these things. And my body's just not used to it, so it gives me indigestion. And if I get a pill, then I'm typically better. And I did that in Arkansas, and it really enabled me to.
Whoa.
I ended up. Ted King won it that year, very famous gravel cyclist, and I ended up getting second, which was really cool. And set a new course record. It's since been taken.
And regardless of that happened.
Yeah.
You got second.
Yeah, I got second. So it was
to say like, I'm good at this. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Like this was a good push for that.
And that was another really good, and I was doing really well. Actually, I might have been the only woman in that one too. And
Trailblazer
in that one. Yeah. And I did. I had the wrong route. And once I realized it, I was like, oh, to me, it's cheating. Like I'm not on the right route. I'm not doing the right thing. And so I called it and I DNF'd, and I ended up having to find another way back. But that was a huge, like, humbling experience for me, because there's so much that goes into ultras. There's so much. And your route did very well in that one as well. And that one, I just went straight through the night. It was like 350 miles. So that was good. And then I went to Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing you talk about Morocco. So before we started this interview, I asked actually if we talk about Morocco, because I'm very interested in pushing people, especially women, to tell to audiences like this about things that happen all the time. Special, how can I say it? Like they're not exposed to special kind of danger for being women.
Yeah.
I know a lot of women that talk like that. Like, no, it's everything the same. I feel there's no difference between female and male until something like what we're going to hear now happens. I'm not saying you were that kind of woman. I'm just saying as an example for those women, I don't know who they are, but you know who you are, that think that there's not a special risk of being a woman in this world. So if you want to please tell us what happened in Morocco. I already know it. So.
And actually, it was the second AcrossAndes before Morocco, and then it was Morocco. But we can talk about Morocco because, so there was a couple of things. It was called it's the Atlas Mountain Race. Fantastic race. Very well done. Very well put together. And I will preface this that the people in Morocco were amazing. So kind. Even the men, like there was putting together 2 cords so that I could continue to charge my cell phone. You need your cell phone. Even though I'm navigating through a GPS, I also have navigation backed up on my cell phone 2 times. But you also need to.
Yeah. Super kind. This was an isolated incident with Morocco.
This. And that's it, though. I do.
It's a men thing. Not a Morocco thing. Sorry. Please go.
There's a lot of truth in that one.
I get excited.
It is what it is, And so what ended up happening was, first of all, I wrecked. I went out in some sand. It was really sandy. Broke a rib. I've done that before, so I knew I broke it. I did break it.
Whoa. And this was kilometer how much? Out of?
So this was towards the end. This was, I think I might have been going by miles at that point. So I might have been at like mile 590.
With a broken rib.
Yeah, or maybe 5. No, it was probably a little bit, maybe 580. And I think the race was about 600 and something, or maybe a little over. It was about 1,000 kilometers once again.
Okay.
And so I'm going along and I look, at this point, pretty awful. There was also the issue of food for me in Morocco. I have a gluten allergy. And so the only thing that I could eat was like eggs and yogurt, which is really not enough calories. I lost like 10 pounds in Morocco. maybe great. I don't know.
There's patriarchy again. Talking.
So
yay for food indigestion. Yay.
Oh, yay. And I didn't have to take the pills because I wasn't eating enough to.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, I don't think I had them that
on
time.
the bright side.
So there was, there's always a positive in my life. So like I was emaciatedly like hungry. Like I started like probably looking thin at that point. I was like 5 days in or 4 days in. And this guy on a motorbike just came up to me and would not leave me alone and was asking me to get on the bike with him. Like asking me he'd take my bike, and I was pretty sandy. I probably looked pretty bad, so I'll give him that. And then he kept pointing to the bottom of my bike, and at the bottom of the bike, I had a strap. I had Volet strap. I had like this huge thing of water because water was, it was dry there and you needed to carry more water. And it was flapping. And I was like, I know it's flapping. Like, I just want to finish this thing, like, you don't know what but I wanted to just say, sir, I know what I'm doing.
Leave it alone.
Stop trying to mansplain my bike to me because like I've got this. And finally,
I'm a professional bike racer. Please leave me alone.
So finally I was like
Google Translate this.
Yeah, leave me alone. And so I thought, you know what? If I stop and fix it, then perhaps he will just go about his merry way. I mean, why wouldn't I think that? Why wouldn't he, right? So I stop and I go to bend over, and it hurt like the dickens because I had a broken rib.
Because of the rib, yeah.
And so I kind of just was very slowly trying to like put the strap. And then he fixed it for me. And I was like, oh, this is totally what it's been like in Morocco. Everybody's so sweet. And then he grabbed me, and he touched my breast, and I remember being like, oh, well, I mean, I don't blame him. They're fantastic, but like, what is he doing? And like in my mind, I'm trying to like, it was like I'm rushing to put this together. Like,
yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, there's
what
like this period of time when you're trying to understand reality.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't react at time.
I just didn't know what to do. And
Yeah.
I remember hearing the race director's voice of the when listening to the, like, what is it called when you have to go and the orientation. That's the word I'm looking for.
We have orientation tomorrow.
Yes. Very important. And he
4 p.m.
said during that orientation that women were allowed to hit the help button in case something was happening.
Oh.
But I couldn't reach it because he had me. He had me in his arms.
You get like froze, yeah.
And I couldn't get out of his arms. And then he starts kissing my cheek. And I at that point, when he started to kiss my cheek, I remember thinking, you need to cowgirl up. And you feel people's energy when you're touching them, and especially if you're in their arms, right? And the feeling that I had was once he got me, he did not want to let me go. And it was very scary. It was very alarming. And of course it hurt because he was starting to squeeze me and my rib was broken.
Oh, yeah.
And that moment, I would say this moment was really pivotal in my life because I've been through things before in the past. We can leave that there. And this was a moment when instead of being like, okay, I said no. And I literally, something in me just pushed him away. And I remember, and I think I wrote a blog about this, I remember looking at him and screaming at him like he was a dog. And I said, no, like really hardcore. No. And I did this, wagged my finger. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. You know what you were doing. Like it was
there was
real.
a English. Yeah.
And he comes after me more. Like there were so many thoughts going through my head. And at first I was like, then he got on the motorbike and he left. And I sat there and I was just shaking. And I remember thinking, was that what just happened? Like what just happened? Wait a minute. No, Ashley, this was like fault, this was like not your fault. And this is an assault, period. End of report. Leave it and finish the race. And I finished the race and I set a new record and I won it.
There you go. Wait, so I wanna go back to the results also, but just like I think it is important to notice that even though this is not a podcast about this specific topic, but it is very relevant to be aware that you get like you freeze. I mean, people always say like, why didn't you do something, or you should have done this or that or whatever, but it's actually such a violation of your like of your space that you really like have a few minutes to realize what is happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been like I've been in this situation like one or twice, and then I keep like reliving this thing in my mind, like, oh, I should have done this and that, and but you actually like spend those crucial minutes thinking, what the fuck is happening? Like, what? Why did he do that?
Yes.
And then it happened, and then
Yes.
he went or whatever. So you actually get like really, really frozen at that moment.
Yes. Yeah. I think I did.
And you don't know what's going to happen.
No, I didn't
Like,
know what he
people
was going
tell
to do
you,
next.
what did you hit him or run or what? Yeah, you don't know what he's going to do then.
All I remember is like, I can't reach the help button. I can't reach the help button. And in my mind, I was just like, I was screaming in my mind, like, and I couldn't get out of his arms because of my rib, you know. And it was a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I bet. Like any ultra, maybe.
100%.
So
Yes.
thank you for sharing that with us, Ashley. But I wanted to go to what you said, like very fast, like in 5 seconds. You end up winning the race and setting a new record.
I did.
Like getting a salt in the middle and with a broken rib.
Yeah. Yeah. And starving.
And starving, like only yogurt and something else.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why Morocco ended up being overall a good experience. You know, I went to do a race to do my best to represent Rodeo Labs. They had me on their prototype mountain bike, the show pony, and it's a great bike. And
I love the name.
I know, I love all their names. And it was like, you know, I gave it what I had. I ran a good race.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a really positive, good experience. Minus
This time at least.
thankfully.
Yeah, but like 10? 2000, 2002. 2022.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2021. Sorry.
Yeah.
How many women?
It was in 20. No, it was in 22.
20
No,
No,
it was 21.
this is 23.
You're right.
Last
It was 21. Yeah.
21. Like how
'Cause
many?
there was no
Like
20.
12?
I feel
Women?
like it
You were
was like
working
12.
What?
Yeah.
Let's
it was,
say like 10, 12 women.
yeah. It was a good number. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good number. It was a different route for you though.
It
a
was.
different
So,
region also, the country.
yep. It was the volcanoes and the monkey puzzle trees. I
Yeah.
loved them. In fact, I'm growing some at my house, which I think might be illegal, but I found them online.
Terribly illegal, and they're huge.
Well,
there will
I
be
mean,
a problem at
You know,
some moment.
I mean, eventually it's going to be. We know you didn't
Like
know
in
your
30 years.
great Aunt Ashley, but here's her tortoise Larry and her monkey.
Coming back to
The reasons now, but I still keep coming back. Right?
There's other reasons.
There's other reasons, but I wanted to do it again. I wanted to do AcrossAndes again. I really thought that Mariano and Paulina did amazing job as race directors, and I feel like I could be a part of. You know, like I feel like the cycling community is worldwide, and
I think you are
love it.
part of
Yeah.
right now. Yeah,
And
definitely.
I don't know. I wanted to come back, so I did.
Like the crazy lady who comes with a dress to Coyhaique. I think that's what she.
Really do. Like I'm typically like hot. Like I'm hot right now. It's kind of warm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, here it is. So, could you tell us more about 2021? That was an interesting. I think that experience is like written in the story of the race, like from there till 10 years later now.
Doing really well.
You were doing really good.
You know,
yeah.
I was charging.
You were first women.
I was.
Like by far with the second one. Yeah.
I was. I had a good gap on her. You know, I felt really good. And I ended up thinking, okay, I had the night before that I got to checkpoint 3. I slept on a park bench, and I didn't really sleep well. And I thought, you know, let me just get an Airbnb, and I'll sleep there for 3-4 hours, and then I'll go, and then I'll just charge it on down. You know, I'll be done. This is how I'm gonna run this race. And as I was leaving the Airbnb, it must have been about 11 o'clock. I had a pack of dogs come after me, like a pack. I mean, there was like 6 or 7. I mean, it was huge. It's 5 or 6, I guess. I don't remember. I just remember.
It could have been like 3 up to
and
8.
2. You know, it was dark. And I thought, at first I remember thinking, oh no, they're not going to do anything. And then one of them got my leg, and then she got me again. And it was the second time. I mean, I still have the scar. The second time.
Director, could you please show this scar?
That
Cameraman.
The second time was a pretty good.
Can I say it? Can I say it?
Yeah.
I know you can't see it, but I'll see it. I'll describe it to you.
Yeah, it's here. You can kind of still see it. You can feel it.
Oh yeah, I can feel
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It was
That's crazy.
I would say that the gouge was big enough to where you could have stuck your first, like the first
Whoa,
digit
that's
of your
huge.
pinky. It was big. It was like a deep. And
I remember Pablo describing it like the dog like chew on you like.
Yeah, and
more than once.
there were other.
Yeah.
He did. She got me. It could have been a he. I don't know why. But it got me
Very generous.
multiple times. And got away. I don't remember. I still do not remember. But I did, and then I stopped, and the first thing I thought was, I need to clean it. Which there is no rabies in Chile, but I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
But I was thinking infection because a dog's mouth is so dirty, especially a wild.
Yeah,
pack of
especially
dogs.
wild dogs. Yeah.
And so I literally wipe it.
Ouch.
I saw a chunk of flesh that was like this big. And I think that did something to me. Like, I mean, the attack itself was very bad, but I think that seeing the flesh, the white of the skin, like, I mean, it was just a chunk of flesh. I won't go too detailed. It was gross.
This is enough detail to get.
We'll
gross
stop
too.
there. Yeah. And I mean, of course, there were other little chunks that came out, but that was the biggest one.
But I think it's important to settle the context. Like, you saw all of that, and what did you do? Please tell the audience, what did you do?
I put hand sanitizer on it.
And then
it stung like the dickens.
And then
I kept going.
You kept going. That's what I wanted to get. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was winning. I think I might have been like 5th overall at that time.
Probably, yeah.
Like, I was way up there. And I just remember, and I was like, I'm going to catch number 4 or something.
That was
I'm
the
gonna do
rabies.
this.
That was the rabies.
It must have been. It's something. And so, like, I end up, Ashley, suck it up, girl. Like, suck it up, Buttercup. You got to keep going, girl. You got this. This is what I'm like telling myself, you know? I know. Yeah. Yeah. And so I did.
Such an Arizona girl. Colorado. Sorry.
But
Colorado.
originally from Texas now.
Oh.
I'll start twanging.
There was your Texas girl. Yeah.
And so I ended up like, I couldn't eat. And that was an issue. And I kept getting hot and cold. I remember stopping and putting and then jacket and then taking it off and then going and stopping. And during the time when I took the flesh out of the leg, where I still have that indentation.
It sounds mental.
So lovely. I lost like an hour. I don't know where that hour went. I still don't know. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I tried to look for help. I know where Andrew caught me and I remember
you were there too.
You were there, Pablo. I was. I looked awful. There was night and day, and it was like not typical Ashley.
I remember how Pablo told you. Do you want me to tell you?
I would like to know. I would actually like to know, because I was wondering. At that point, I kind of thought, I think that Andrew might have said, you need to do something about Ashley. She looks like shit. Like, she's in a bad place. Like, this racer's going downhill.
Well, this was like 6 a.m., right? 6 a.m.
I was what?
You got 8. Well, so it was like 8 a.m. Pablo got a message from Mariano saying like, hey, please go check out on Ashley. She wrote me this, and I think she's not well. So
I wasn't well.
So Pablo was driving the media car. You were with Andrew, right? So they both went to... Sorry?
Oh, that's right. You were with Matt.
Matt.
Andrew, I think Andrew, I could be wrong, but I'm wondering if Andrew contacted Mariano when during the video, and I don't know if in the documentary, maybe I did, but in the documentary, I remember when I saw that documentary, it made me cry because I saw how bad I looked.
I got goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Yeah, and I remember seeing it made me cry because all I heard was, my leg, it hurts. Because it did. It hurt every single time I pushed it down. And then when I pedaled up, and that was because it was deep enough to get into the nerves.
So the thing is that Pablo, but this is how he tells it. So when we got to Ashley and we saw she was in pain because of how she was riding. So we stopped the car like maybe a kilometer away from her, and we started walking towards her. We're meters away from her, and we started to walking besides her. We're like, Ashley, how you doing?
I remember you walking next to me.
There you go. And he said, I looked at Ashley and
jaw and start foaming at the mouth.
The virus has taken over. So he said, like, no, I knew it was time to take her to
I think the yellow eyes is probably.
But what he told me that he saw and he kind of felt how difficult it was for you to say like, yeah, I can't keep going. Like he told me like he was like hurting for you.
It was a really hard decision for me because I don't at these events, I don't like to give up. You know, I hear that. I think I quoted that Churchill quote when I gave a talk at one of the places. Never give in in nothing great or small. You never give in, you know, unless of course common sense and that kind of stuff. But you just don't.
Getting attacked by it.
You know, but you just don't stop. Like, I might be last place, but I'm going to try to finish that. You know, I might not win it. I might not, my race might not go smooth, but come hell or high water, I'm going to try to finish it. And so that one was that might have been, no, it was the second. So there was the wrong course, and I needed to DNF because I would have been cheating. Yeah. That was the second time that I had to actually pull out of a race, and I hated it. I was at least cognitive and like alive enough to realize that, you know, I don't want to stop. But it ended up being the right thing. I think at that point it started to get really dangerous.
Yeah. No, it was the right thing. Yeah. I don't want to say anything, but probably you should have done it like hours ago.
I think I probably should have pulled out, you know, when I was literally, my body was in shock because I was hot and cold.
But you're here. You're here. You're fine. You're back.
You know, and I said this even in the video. There was this moment of strength, you know, where I was able to keep going. There's something deeper. So there's something in the back of this crazy brain, you know, that showed more strength than I could have ever imagined. And I actually think that strength was what got me through Morocco.
Oh, that's a good angle. Yeah.
100%.
Like, I've been in a tough place before. Like, I've been in this situation, in kind of a situation. Yeah. Well, I think ultras in general put you into that like limit.
They do. That is the beautiful thing about ultra cycling. You know, no matter where we are now, not everybody has this, but the majority of all of us live in comfort. You know, we have everything we need. We are not starving. We just live in comfort. And to be able to put yourself and to be able to push yourself to a limit and to test yourself
voluntarily and paying for it.
Exactly. 100%. But it's beautiful. We want to.
Yeah.
You know, you learn more about who you are. And I think it's important to know yourself.
Yeah. And I think that also connecting with something you said before, like for regular people, being able to just decide to do that, to do it and to finish it for some people, or even not to finish, it gives you like a superpower after that. I felt it
100%.
Yeah, I remember being in the city and riding like late, and I forgot my lights. So I was doing this trail by night, and I started to get really scared. Like, oh, this is and then suddenly I was like, what? You did AcrossAndes. Like, this is the city. This is right next to your apartment. You can't be scared of this. Yeah. And it gave me like the strength that I needed to like get over the fear.
Yeah. And I think it's also not only applicable to just riding a bike, but life in general. You know, when the real struggles in life really happen, you're a little bit more ready. I know I have been.
It's true.
It's important.
So we're here now. Sorry, I was just checking something of the connection. We're here now. This is 2023. We're now in Patagonia. We're in Coyhaique, actually. And today is Friday, right? I keep like smashing all the days. And the race starts on Sunday. How do you feel? You told me you had kind of a breakdown a few days ago.
I did. I think this happens to me. This happens to me at least once for a little small part before any ultra race. I'm human, you know, and like any human, I have insecurities, I have doubts, I have worries. I have this dichotomy of both loving and hating myself. That's part of being a human. And I woke up 2 days ago and I was just in a horrible mood. I mean, I was I'm going to fail. Everyone's going to beat me. All the other women, you know, I have all this, like, you know, I have sponsorship, but I'm really not that good. I'm really not that fast. You know, they're probably like, why do we even work with Ashley? You know, like stupid.
You went into a really dark place, though.
Oh, I was super dark.
Yeah.
And what was really like, I mean, it was not a normal Ashley. In fact, yeah, I heard it. This is not the Ashley I know. I'm really worried about you. You know, like, do I need to go get you something? Can I get you some ice cream, or can I give you some food? And I was like, I'm not eating anything. I would have said no to it, though. That was like, I was just in such a bad place. And, you know, finally I did end up, as I always do. It doesn't take too long for me. But I got out of it, and I realized, first of all, there's a couple things that I have to remind myself is, first of all, I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be able to even attempt this. The majority of the world can't. No matter the result, I have put in a lot of work this year for this one. I have a good experience. I'm in a beautiful place. And, you know, I'm going to do very well. That doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I will do very well, because I always do. You know, it's just, even when I have to quit.
Yeah.
There's still something good that comes out of it. And so once I realized that, I was like, oh man, it was a powerful moment of just, you know, of knowing myself.
To realize that.
Yeah.
So in this version of the event has different challenges. Right?
It does.
I want to say, like, in a very soft way, because I don't want to make anyone panic or anything. We have different challenges, especially like coming to this region where we have like all the seasons in an hour. You've seen it already these days. Have you been here?
Yeah. It's cold, hot, and raining. You know, snowing somewhere else.
Yeah. How have you been preparing for that?
So for that, the most important thing to me are my feet.
Okay.
Believe it or not. And the reason I say this is because when I was in Armenia, I got trench feet.
Oh, I remember the pictures you posted about that.
So bad. I had some open wounds, and it was actually my sponsors who were like, we kind of want you to not finish. Like, we kind of want you to not continue, because the next step, Ashley,
please don't show those feet,
is gangrene. You know, and I was like, oh, I kind of need my feet. I guess I need my feet and my toes, so I should stop. And I had just had a really big life change, and so
I'm sorry, could you explain what is trench feet for our audience?
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, the trench feet ended up being an okay thing for me, but basically what happens is your feet get so wet and stay wet. Bacteria starts to get on in there and doing its funny thing. So it's kind of eating the bottom of your feet.
Oh.
You get these like, it's a World War II thing. You'll see it, you know, like, or maybe World War I. I need to really
World War I in 2022.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it hurts. Every single step hurts really, really bad. The feet look white. They get real white. And like wrinkled. So basically, imagine yourself in the bathtub, and you know you sit in there too long, and you get that kind of wrinkly skin.
Too long. You stayed like 10 hours with the feet you got.
Exactly.
I saw them.
It was nasty.
Yeah.
It was more than 10 hours.
It was like super cracked and.
Oh, it was gross. And there's little holes, little brown like holes. That's the bacteria.
Oh, shit. And you imagine crack like being dry, but they were like cracked of wet.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it
it's
hurt.
so weird.
And when I was riding, I kept like every time I stepped on the pedal, it hurt, and I was like, man, I've just have a lot of sand, and to clean these shoes, there was no sand.
So what have you done different now for not to get trench feet?
So I did not have wool socks on. I think wool socks are important.
Like merino.
Yes, needs to be merino wool, and thankfully Sportful has given me some really good merino wool socks. I'm also going to, I have a little bit of powder that I'm going to put in there.
Okay.
I have another trick that I'm going to do. I will probably line the bottom of the sole with some foil, aluminum foil, to stay warmer.
Yeah,
as well.
I've heard that. You don't use like cover shoes or things
and
like
I'm going to have shoe covers.
Shoe cover, yeah.
That's the big difference. I'm going to put the shoe covers on. And also, if I do stop, which I will at one point, or more than one point, and it's a long
at the end.
It's a long, exactly, of course, it's a long time. I'm going to air my feet out, and not sleep in the shoes.
Oh yeah, that's very important.
Or the socks.
So that's one thing you've been preparing for,
because it's gonna be wet.
Yeah, it's gonna be wet. We've seen it today and yesterday, and I'm sorry, don't trust the apps though. The ones that are here for the race. Sorry, the apps are not something to trust on. So what are your like fears, anxieties, expectations for this year?
I don't really have a lot of expectations because I just don't know.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how this one's going to go. And the reason is that ferry. That ferry crossing, I think, is really going to change the dynamics of the race. It's at mile 412 for those who are following miles and not kilometers.
Do you wanna tell that moment of craziness you had?
Oh yeah, I
With the
will. I'll totally
ferry?
tell this. This is great. So I understand water
were-
a little bit.
You were possessed.
I have kayaked on a
Good intro.
just maybe get up to class 3 on like some like a ducky, so just basically have understand it a little bit, where I could trust myself to cross a river. And I thought I was actually riding San Cristobal on in Santiago, and I had this whim like, you know what, screw that ferry, I'm just gonna portage myself across that river and I'm gonna be just fine. I could just see it, the donkey, like I'm gonna take off the wheels and strap it to the pack raft and then screw it all. I don't have to wait.
Image, though.
I don't have to wait. I can cross any time. So I started doing the research. First of all, number one, is it well, first of all, I read the AcrossAndes, mandatory, like
The handbook.
the handbook,
yeah.
like what are our rules? I'm a little bit of a rule follower. I won't be drafting. This is who I am. Too honest. And so I was like,
Can I swim?
oh, exactly. So I was like, okay, he doesn't say you can't, so that means I probably could. So then I called multiple, well, actually Tito called multiple lodges because, no hablo español. No muy bien. I called multiple places. He called multiple places.
We at least.
Multiple places, and double checked, like, do I need a permit? Is it what, all of this kind of stuff. And then I got the pack raft. 5 pounds. I could have put it on. I have this awesome tail fin rack, and I could have put it on the back of the rack. And then I started reading trip reports for people who had kayaked the entire river, and started looking at the weather. And I realized, first of all, I do not know the undercurrent. And because we're getting closer to the ocean, there could be some big undercurrents.
I know this now. Now you're telling this as a very calculated and like studied thing, but I imagine you're like crazy watching the maps.
Oh,
and,
it was
and
crazy.
The river flows and videos and call this and do this.
It was because, that was like all we talked about for at least a day, because I
imagine
decided,
you're like freaking out. Can I do it? Can
I do it? Yeah.
Let's do it.
It would have been awesome. But my biggest worry was that wind. So if it would have started me and then pushed me way past where I needed to be, then I'm having to bushwhack on up. And I was like, there goes my 2-3 hour or whatever I thought I was going to get.
Or my life. There goes my...
there's that. There is
minor detail.
Little detail of the donkey and I. It's funny. It was like, I had this vision of
living.
I have this vision of the trail donkey and I just going out into the ocean. And here I
like
am,
a movie.
trying to cast away.
Give it in.
Yeah. And I could just imagine everybody
I'm ready.
Looking at the docks like, what's going on with Ashley?
She took a wrong turn.
Yeah.
She took a different ferry.
And somehow she's way out there. So, she took a different ferry.
I'm so glad we're laughing about this now because you decided not to do it.
I decided not to do it. But I think my favorite moment of this entire experience of me, Ashley, I love you so much. You're strong. You have these strong women ideas. You're just special. But sometimes your ideas scare me.
Definitely.
And my dad, of course, was also researching, because him and I are both a little bit more very, analytical. We're researching.
This is not possible, actually. This is not possible.
It was the best. It was the best. So I'm not doing it.
Oh, thank God.
Actually, I was going to ask Mariano just to make sure, because I didn't want to be cheating. I don't ever want to have an upper hand of the rest of my competitors.
It's not even like a gray area. It's like a straight now. You have a new rodeo bike. It's super nice.
Oh, it's so beautiful. So awesome. Yeah, rodeo.
Great colors.
Well, I told him, I was like, it has to be some girly on there. It's got to have pink,
So, what gear are you wearing?
Sportful.
Okay.
I love their stuff. So when I decided to not race with the pro team, I contacted certain people and I wanted to stay with Sportful, and they said they would keep helping me out. So I have, the warm leg warmer all the way, full leg warmer, short.
Okay.
Yep. And then some, leg warmers.
Yeah, leg warmers.
Yeah, arm warmers.
You have one
Jersey
or two
vest.
jerseys.
Uno.
And
a vest.
shirt sleeve?
Short sleeve.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I get hot.
Yeah.
Like for me,